I can absolutely do that. However, a complete 40-minute YouTube story is far longer than can fit into a single response. It would typically be around 6,000-8,000 plus words. So I'll write it as a continuous story in multiple parts without headings, keeping the pacing smooth and consistent. Each part will be as long as I can make it. Part 1. Have you ever wondered what you would do if a frightened child silently begged you for help, and you were the only one who noticed? Would you risk everything for a stranger, or would you convince yourself that someone else would step in? Today's story is about one little girl's incredible courage, a group of bikers whose intimidating appearance hid hearts of gold, and a split-second decision that changed countless lives forever. Stay with us until the very end because the final moments carry a lesson about bravery, compassion, and the extraordinary power of ordinary people. Before we begin, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Every like and every subscription helps us bring you more inspiring stories that remind us humanity is still alive. Now, let's begin. The summer heat shimmered above the endless highway stretching across the countryside. Cars sped by without slowing down, each driver focused on reaching their own destination. The world looked peaceful from a distance, but sometimes the darkest stories unfolded in the brightest daylight. 14-year-old Lily Harper sat quietly in the back seat of a gray SUV. Anyone looking through the window might have assumed she was traveling with relatives. She wore a faded blue hoodie several sizes too large, her light brown hair tied into a messy ponytail, and her face remained expressionless as if she had accepted whatever fate awaited her. But beneath that calm expression, her heart pounded so loudly she feared the two men in the front seats could hear it. 3 days earlier, Lily had disappeared while walking home from the public library. Her mother, Sarah, had called the police the moment Lily failed to answer her phone. Search parties spread across the town. Volunteers posted flyers on every telephone pole. News stations broadcast her smiling school photograph, begging anyone with information to come forward. Meanwhile, Lily was trapped inside the moving vehicle, desperately searching for a chance to escape. The older man driving never smiled. Thick gray stubble covered his jaw, and mirrored sunglasses hid his eyes. Beside him sat a younger man whose restless fingers constantly tapped against his knee. "You stay quiet," the younger man muttered without turning around. Lily nodded. She had learned something during those terrifying days. Sometimes survival depended on appearing obedient. But obedience wasn't surrender. She memorized every highway sign, every gas station, every town they passed, every conversation they accidentally revealed. Hope was the only thing her captors couldn't take from her. Hours later, the fuel gauge dropped dangerously low. "We're stopping," the driver grumbled. The SUV pulled into an old roadside gas station surrounded by tall oak trees and several parked motorcycles. Lily's eyes widened. Nearly 20 bikers stood outside laughing together after what appeared to be a charity motorcycle ride. Leather jackets covered their broad shoulders. Tattoos decorated their arms. Long beards, denim vests, worn boots, and roaring motorcycles gave them an intimidating appearance. Most people walking into the station instinctively kept their distance. Lily noticed something different. One biker gently helped an elderly woman carry groceries to her car. Another knelt beside a little boy, tightening the strap on his bicycle helmet before giving him a friendly thumbs up. A third laughed while letting a golden retriever lick ice cream from his hand. They didn't look dangerous. They looked kind. The younger kidnapper grabbed Lily's wrist tightly. "Bathroom," he ordered. "No talking." She nodded again. Inside the convenience store, Lily searched desperately for an opportunity. The man refused to let her out of his sight. She couldn't scream. He stood close enough to silence her instantly. As they approached the checkout counter, one of the bikers entered the store. He was enormous, well over 6 feet tall. His leather vest displayed patches from countless charity rides supporting children's hospitals, veterans, and families in need. His name patch simply read, Mike. Mike noticed Lily for only a second. Most adults would have looked away. He didn't. Years earlier, Mike's younger sister had survived an abusive relationship because a stranger recognized the fear hidden behind her forced smile. He had promised himself never to ignore that look again. Lily lowered her eyes. She couldn't risk obvious eye contact. Then she remembered something her mother used to tell her whenever they watched detective shows together. "If you ever can't speak, find another way to send a message." Mike reached for a bottle of water. As the cashier scanned it, Lily slowly adjusted the sleeve of her hoodie. Written across her wrist in tiny blue ink were 4 words. "Help me, not family." She kept her arm low enough that only someone paying close attention would notice. Mike froze. The younger man immediately yanked Lily's sleeve back down. Come on. They headed toward the exit. Mike's heartbeat accelerated. Maybe he imagined it. Maybe it was a prank. Maybe. Then Lily stumbled intentionally. As she bent to regain balance, she quickly looked at Mike. One tear escaped despite every effort to stay composed. She barely shook her head. Just once. It lasted less than a second. Most people would have missed it. Mike didn't. The SUV pulled away moments later. Mike remained motionless. His friend Carlos walked inside carrying coffee. You okay? Mike looked toward the disappearing vehicle. Did you see that girl? Carlos frowned. What girl? The teenager. So, Mike repeated exactly what he'd seen. Carlos' expression changed immediately. Within seconds, 6 bikers quietly gathered near the motorcycles. None interrupted. None laughed. None dismissed his concern. Each man listened carefully. One of them, a retired paramedic named Ben, spoke first. If you're wrong, I'll apologize. And if you're right, Mike stared at the empty highway. We may be the last people who ever saw her. Silence settled over the group. No one wanted to believe something terrible was happening. But nobody wanted to ignore it either. Finally, an older biker everyone called Big Tom removed his sunglasses. I'd rather feel foolish than regret doing nothing. Every head nodded. Ben pulled out his phone. Calling 911, Mike memorized the license plate he'd caught moments earlier. Carlos searched social media. Within 30 seconds, his face turned pale. Oh no, he turned the screen toward everyone. A missing child alert. The photograph showed the same frightened face. Lily Harper, missing for 3 days, age 14, last seen leaving the public library. Mike clenched his fists. It was her. The operator instructed them not to pursue the vehicle and to wait for law enforcement. Normally, that would have been the safest choice. But another biker pointed toward the highway. They've already got a 20-minute head start. What if they change vehicles? What if they disappear? What if this is our only chance? Mike looked around at the brothers who had ridden beside him for years through charity events, disaster relief missions, and fundraising rides. No one spoke. No one had to. Helmets went on. Engines started. The thunder of 20 motorcycles echoed across the highway. They weren't chasing trouble. They were chasing hope, miles ahead. Lily stared through the SUV's rear window. At first she thought she imagined it. Tiny black dots appeared on the horizon. Growing larger. Closer. 1, 5, 10, 20 motorcycles. Her breathing caught. The bikers. They had seen her signal. For the first time since her nightmare began, a fragile spark of hope flickered inside her heart. She whispered so quietly that even she could barely hear the words. Please, don't give up. Reply with, Part 2 inches and I'll continue the story with a longer, even more suspenseful continuation.